everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Overcrank. Just me and Colden on a Friday. I don't know. We're just talking about stuff. So let's get into it.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. I love it, man. So we were just offline. We were talking about, this was a question that I had come up with, and I'm gonna run you through, at least Todd, a little bit of my show notes from yesterday. You were busy. Were you shooting or something on Thursday? We didn't see you.
Oh yeah, I was crazy busy on Thursday. I was running all over the place.
So
today too, I gotta go to do a shoot at 8 o'clock tonight. It's fun.
At the ballet or the
at the ballet?
Station?
Ballet. Yeah.
Okay. See now, like we've hung out enough that I'm like, I know your clients at this point.
That's right. That's right.
But we ran into what you never want to run into on a live stream, which is terrible compute plus terrible internet connection. Man, we cut our show yesterday short by at least 45 minutes, if not an hour. We did the shortest, and between you, me, and Jake, like we can all just kind of sit and talk. I had a whole list of notes that I was like, all right, we're going to get through all this stuff. And Jake's internet, because he was traveling from one place to another and he forgot something. He was on an old laptop. When I say old laptop, like 8 years old. Like when I asked him afterwards, I was like, that was the worst stream I've ever been a part of. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm on an 8-year-old laptop. I was like, is this even before the M's? Like, is this before the Apple Silicon? He was like, yeah, it's an Intel MacBook. And I was like, I don't ever do that again. Go get a new computer.
Yeah.
The next client you sign buys you an actual laptop because he was about 4 pixels. And whenever it's so funny, man, whenever he was on his 8-year-old laptop, the audio was like, I kid you not, 25 seconds in front of the video because it couldn't compress the video. It couldn't stream the video.
Right.
And then he would like try and hop over to his phone, which had even fewer pixels because he's on like 5G. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, so that was a rough one. So I had a bunch of notes and I was like, oh, we could talk about stuff. I almost missed. It's one reason why I reached out to you because I was like, I haven't talked to anybody about this stuff this week. So
let's go.
You're going to sit into our Creative Lens show. This is what would have been a Creative Lens show for this week, I guess.
You could call me Jake this week like I did you. So
you got it, Jake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're missing a little bit of purple in the background though. So we got to get all that stuff needs to be some like tuning LEDs. So depending on whose show you're on, I can switch those to orange to be on the Overcrank, but you got to switch those to purple to be on the Creative Lens.
The problem is like this whole background, it's like stained wood and the purple just dies on it. It just doesn't work. And so
all this is stained wood back here.
Oh, okay.
Because I built this whole wall, this like soundproof board. It was so trendy and popular, but it's so expensive. I don't know. Have you ever priced this stuff out? Like just getting panels of these are hundreds of dollars.
Well, they were selling those at Costco.
They are selling them at Costco. And I did a whole video on that and I never posted it because it was like the price went up and then it came down. And so I was like, so that was a hint is like you can go at Costco, but they're 4-foot panels. So you end up getting a seam every 4 feet, which is kind of a thing. It might be 2 feet. They're small blocks. Those are 4x8 pieces of plywood that I ripped 1 inch by 1 inch with a root saw and then stained it and painted it. So they actually that's stained wood and it takes the purple fairly decently, but that's a hack. Anybody that's out here, you want that wall and you don't want to spend thousands of dollars, even at Costco. 4x8 plywood, rip it down.
I can't even remember. So this neon sign, no, I bought the color. I was trying to think if it was tunable color, but it's not. I bought the color. Yeah. So can't change that either.
If it's true neon, it's not LED. It's
LED.
Stuck with whatever you got. Oh, it is LED, but it's LED
made to look like neon. I got it off of Amazon, like for really, really cheap. It's fortunate my name's short. Yeah.
Mine. I would pay double that for
exactly.
my name to sit back here. I just have the Mario question block. That was
which is fun
enough. but my head blocks it all the time. So that's, I have to be like, should I show the question block or should I be centered on frame? It's, it's the tough life we live here, Todd.
Yeah. This is the life of the podcaster.
But I was interested in talking to you, and we were kind of starting to get into it offline, is, congratulations. You just did a video last week or whatever. You just hit that monetization level.
Thank you.
I did the same thing. I was interested in your perspective on, if you've seen anything change or shift either in your strategy, in your analytics, or like your mindset after crossing, because that's what everybody on YouTube, there's some statistic that says like anybody who's on YouTube, like 10%, 5% of the people that actually are on YouTube ever get to that hump. So congratulations on that.
2 to 3% is what I came across.
3?
2 to 3%. Yeah.
2 to 3. That sounds right. That sounds more right. I was being overly generous.
Yeah.
But I was just interested from you, like, have you seen anything change, either analytics or just perspective?
Couple of things. Analytics are pretty stable. I am surprised how many subscribers. This is the interesting thing, and it's sort of a human mentality thing. When you're a new YouTuber, it's tough because everybody has I guess it would be like confirmation bias. When they see a channel that has 200 subscribers or whatever, they're like, I seem less likely to subscribe. I think once you start to have 1,500, 1,600 subscribers, and that's just where I'm at, people are much more apt to subscribe. I went from maybe 6 to 8 subscribers a month to like I had 140 in the last 28 days. But that's just like that's a huge metric change for me. The other thing that happened, and I think you were surprised by it too, and I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I all of a sudden had people say, hey, we'd like you to review our product, which I haven't even done the full media kit pitch thing yet. I would like to do that. You and I have talked about that. I would like to keep it sort of as ancillary products as opposed to direct in the cameras. I think that's a safe way to go where you can keep your integrity. I think the other part of it will be if I do those, I'm going to do like my friends who are over in the watch industry. I'm just going to start the video with like, this is a sponsored video. Clearly, my opinions are going to be affected by that. I'm just going to tell you my experience, and I think being really transparent will be helpful because so many of the ones that you and I have seen where you're like, man, you're just being a shill. Like I can't tell if you're sponsored, but you're giving this such a glowing report and nothing's perfect. I still complain about things with the Luna, as much as I praise it, I can't stand that I can't use it as a webcam. That's driving me crazy. But
that's a weird update that they still haven't been able to fix.
I don't know why they don't, because you can do it with the little action cam. So it's like, why is that not just an option? And I think the other thing that I don't know, what's happened is a lot more interaction, which I love in the comments. You probably see that too. Like I am literally responding to messages, all day, which I'm actually surprised by. Like, I think, someone else just commented. Like, that's fun for me because I feel like, oh, this is cool. Like, I'm building a community. That was not happening 3 months ago. So those are the things I've noticed.
I agree. I mean, I think I have always kind of said I like the community here, especially of filmmakers. It's a great way to kind of network. How we got together, right? Is like
exactly
the community of people making videos about filmmaking, similar niches and topics, and that's how we were able to meet. And so I love that part, and I've definitely gotten to see that grow, which is super exciting. I'm with you. Digging out of like 200 subscriber prison and jail is tough. One thing I noticed, and this is probably a weakness in my head, and I think we've kind of talked about this, touched on it, is you have a bias or like a sense that every video needs to be a banger now.
Yeah.
At least in my head, where I'm just like, put something out and it doesn't do well, because I'm still in that kind of figure it out growth phase too, of trying to figure out what I want to do and what plays well and works well. And finding that kind of balance. And so you put stuff out and you're like, oh man, that didn't do well. And that like, for whatever reason, you start getting a little bit more successful on the YouTube leaderboard, and the failures almost hurt a little bit more. So that one I'm still kind of like wrestling with, is finding that how to make everyone a how do you make everyone a banger? How do you just go viral, Todd? I just need to figure that out.
That's an impossible question. So I'm going to give you two things. One thing is, I'm with you. I get bummed when one doesn't hit 1,000 now. Like if it doesn't hit 1,000, you're like, oh man. However, just to kind of like go down the metric world, on my approach to getting monetized, I broke it down very to the hour, to the day of what it would take for you to get monetization, right? And so it's 330 hours a month of view time. And so that's about, I think it was like 11 to 12 a day, 12 hours. Well, my worst days now are 25 hours. So even on a bad day, I'm well above what that threshold was that I wanted. So I don't worry about that. And I think one of the things that I want to do is be more considered with some videos. And I think these live streams are actually kind of a key, podcasts, to growth. I said it in my own monetization video, like creating 1 hour long content, that starts to get you the views, or the view hours, I should say. And you and I do the same thing. Not everybody watches an hour. My average is somewhere around, I think, 10 minutes on the hour ones, which means there's a whole bunch of other content that's been created that people aren't watching. So I can carve that out and make 4 or 5 videos out of that hour and not have so much work at the back end. I have one coming out that I let you preview, and I thank you for watching it because it's a 20-minute thing. That's going to be nothing like anything else I've done, and it's probably going to not do well at first, at least. I've already come to that conclusion that is going to be like, people who are subscribers here are going to be like, what is this now? But it's part of a larger plan. I would like to also try to get into public speaking. That does seem to be a very interesting niche. And, well, you got to show what you can do. So here's a sample.
Yeah.
So that was a thought for that thing. But again, thank you for watching that.
By the time we put this out, will it be out?
It should be out. I think I was going to launch it Tuesday.
We're getting close. So depending on either go watch it or wait and go back to Todd's channel and watch it. It was really great. It was fantastic.
Well, thank you.
I've done the same thing where I will put certain things out and I'll be like, oh, this is not going to do well. But I wanted to do this. But I know this is not going to do well.
Yeah. And you have the same thing, like, because you put a lot of work into your videos. You can tell those videos could easily, like, I teased you, but I wasn't like, it could be on Entertainment Tonight or something as like the tech news beat. Like it's great. You're a very good presenter. You have great visuals. And I know that didn't happen in an hour.
Right.
That is a lot of work.
Those are the painful ones where you put that much time into something and like it gets better, but it doesn't change from when you put those type of videos out and you were getting 2 to 3 views because you were in 200 subscriber jail. And so it's better now, but you also kind of go like, but why isn't this one at 10,000? I put that much work in. Why isn't this one taking off? And it's interesting. I don't think I've got the 10,000 hours thing down yet where I just know it inside and out and I can feel which ones are going to be really great, which ones aren't, because some make me really happy and those don't do well all the time. Some I'm like, just put this out. And those do really well. So it's an interesting thing to kind of wrestle with, but it's a fun journey. And the community that's been kind of built around has been the most exciting part.
I agree. I think we have a very similar, I think our communities, I think we're all, you and I have a community that's the same. Like we're one big community between the two channels, which is a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I actually hope we grow it to where it's a community also with Sophie and a community with Dan. And it's like, we're all working together. You know, that's I want to see us sort of like a squad. You know, like
Yeah.
when I was during COVID and pre-COVID, it was Casey, Maddie, and Peter. Like that was a squad, man. And those guys were doing killer stuff. They still do killer stuff. But I was like, I feel like I want to build that with us. That's kind of fun to have like this crew of guys who are like, hey, man, let's, you know, like I said, I hope we can meet up in Vegas next year. That'll be a blast.
Yeah, no, that'll be a lot. Jake and I are already planning on that one. That'll be a fun time. We were looking at that and Cine Gear in LA, trying to find which ones we go to, which ones we want to actually like go and cover versus just go and nerd out about stuff. But
yeah,
those will be very exciting. And I feel like I'm the odd man out in this little Avengers team you're putting together because I don't have a pocket camera. I'll show up,
I'll bring an extra.
Hawkeye. I'll be Hawkeye. I got no real talent, but like I got my Pocket 3.
Yeah.
And you guys all have the 8K Lunas and the Muses, and I'll be like, I'm Hawkeye. I got a couple of arrows.
I'm good.
That'd be my biggest. That's all I got.
Did you guys book your hotel yet?
No.
Okay.
Oh God, no. We have not gone that far yet.
I want to clue you in on a little place that we found, because when I was working for NASA, of course, they flew us out. But the difference is when you're a government on a government deal, you're only allowed to spend so much for a hotel room, and so they will negotiate with area hotels and be like, okay, well, it's got to be government rate, and I think government rate was like $130 or something. It was super cheap. And every once in a while, we'd land one that was like, this hotel is premium. This is great. And then the one year we went to was like, this hotel's a little dank. However,
Gold Rush.
we were at something, I can't remember. It's off the strip, but I want to stay there. I don't, because when you're in Vegas, I don't care about the room. Like, I'm not sleeping. They had the best priced beer and food in all of Vegas. So, and actually, when I was going back subsequent years, I would get on the tram just to have breakfast there because they still had steak and eggs for $12.99. No one's doing that in Vegas.
That? Yeah,
I'm telling, no one's doing it. And then we were at this bar at the hotel, and they had their own brewery. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll have that." And he was like, "It's $4." I'm like, $4? This is like $20 on the strip. They're like, "Yeah, it's like a locals only place," and you could tell by the crowd. You're like, I'm not at Caesars. I don't care because Vegas costs a fortune now. It's like going to Disney World. Yeah. And this place was like, I love it here. The food's decent. The beer's cheap. I'm staying at this place every time.
Yeah. Man, you get off the strip and two things happen very quickly. Things get a lot cheaper and things get a lot sketchier quickly.
For sure.
Quickly.
There was that one guy we'd see every morning sleeping on the street, like, hey, dude, as on our way to the tram.
Vegas and LA have that very similar. I'm used to almost in LA. So, you got your friends, but that's cool. So we'll have to look into that. But I think it's usually at the convention center. So it's like, even if you're on the strip, you're not necessarily right there.
Nowhere near it.
You're not right there anyway. You're still taking the tram anyway.
Yeah.
So
and
it'll be fun.
It's the best deal in town. It's like, I don't know, it was like $30 for like 3-day pass or something. And you just go everywhere you want in Vegas with that thing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that's cheap.
I haven't been back to NAB since, I want to say like 2017, 2018 was the last year that I went to NAB. So it's been a minute.
Oh yeah.
And it's like dangerous. I probably have done that on purpose because my credit card can't handle going to NAB every single year. That would be very expensive for me. So
yes, it's a fun trip.
Yeah. Hey, here's a question. Have you followed this CineD launch? I got props out to Sophie, who's been talking about the extra, and I had to make a video saying I was pretty much wrong with what my assumptions were, that CineD broke down and did latitude tests for both the Luna and the Pocket 4P. Have you seen that?
I saw a headline of it, but I haven't read the article.
Dude, I have eaten my words in terms of the scientific test of the DJI Pocket 4P's latitude claims.
Yeah.
CineD put it at 16 usable stops, 17 if you count the noisy ones, 17.2, I think, if you count the noisy ones. And I want to say it was 12 stops on the telephoto lens, which is crazy good.
Really
To
good.
put that into perspective, it was nowhere close on the Luna. And I know how much you've been raving about the Luna, but it was nowhere close on the Luna. It was exciting to see, though, that they covered both of those, which are kind of consumer cameras compared to bigger cinema cameras. It wouldn't necessarily tip CineD's radar off, except I think these things have been hyped so much over the summer. And when you claim 17 stops of dynamic range, I'm glad somebody looked into it,
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to what I've been saying. I know you haven't been resistant to it, but I know it's like you're more of like a camera guy, like a proper camera. But I'm like, these are getting to be proper cameras. The output is that good. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't seen it, Brandon Lee just did a review on it, and it made me, I love my Luna, but it made me a little ill that I don't at least have the chance to use one of those, because he shot a little short documentary on there. It is beautifully, it's breathtaking. And I'm like, this guy has pushed it, and he thought about things. He used it in ways. That's the thing I think that's so fascinating about these, is because of the way they're set up and the tech in them. He did things you couldn't even normally do. Like he did this really fast running orbit, but he put that, he focused on the central character, and he's just running in this beautiful arc, because the guy was training horses. And you're like, you would never, ever, ever be able to do that with a gimbal. I don't even think a Steadicam, the way he did it. It was like so fast. It was beautiful. And then he turned around and put it on like a 10-foot pole and moved around the space. And you're like, God, this is so good. I mean, that's why I love these cameras, because it's one of those, I said it in my slider video, it becomes like your imagination is your only limitation now. Like they're just so flexible in their capacity that it goes outside of how you normally handle your cameras. And I think that's what's exciting about them.
I think that tracking plus motorized gimbal is that unlocked part. When we were debating, are these overhyped or underhyped, or like, do they have a spot for a long term in the market? I still believe a lot of these people are going to buy these gimbal cameras and not actually utilize a gimbal camera over something else. But tracking plus motorized gimbal is a huge, you can do so many cool shots with that. And I think that's, DJI brought into their Ronin 4 and the new 5, both have those little camera tracking features on it, just because of how hard is it to do an orbit shot outside of having something tracked? You get close, and then you have to go in and stabilize it more in post, so then you're cropping in. The fact that you could, track this while you're going, and you just worry about running really fast, it's cool. It's
just wild. So I recommend anybody, if you not follow Brandon Lee, like that guy, I love his work, and he's so good at teaching you how to be a solo filmmaker.
AJ mentioned him too. So now that's 2 people that I have to go now watch another YouTube video on a camera I cannot buy. Stop recommending stuff that I can't buy.
Well, the dynamic range.
That's actually safer. Go ahead and keep doing that, I guess.
The dynamic range he displayed too in one part of that camera was particularly good, because it was like the scene where this girl was like on the ground playing with these puppies, and the wall behind her was blown out. But man, he brought the highlights down, and it was just like as cinematic as a picture as you can imagine. I was like, man, that looks good. Yeah, that 17 stops is no joke.
Well, so this is the weird voodoo magic that I don't understand from Gen 3. We'll call it Gen 3 to Gen 4, because I'm thinking the DJI Pocket, nobody really cared about the 2. The 3 sold like crazy. Like, that's the first time I paid attention to it, was when the Pocket 3 came out. And I was late to buying it. I didn't buy it until almost a year after it had been on the market, went on sale, like crazy sale at Costco. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me pick one of these up. So I'll call that 3. I'll call this one 4 and include the Luna in that. I showed you my latitude test that I did on the Pocket 3. To me, the underexposure in the Pocket 3 was where I could still get away with, if I kept the highlights down and I underexposed, you could still bring those up, looked okay. once you overexposed it by even a stop, it was awful. There was nothing retained in the highlights.
Yeah.
The Luna, so going to CineD's exposure testing, latitude testing on both the Luna and the 4P, man, you have like 4 stops. And I know you said it, and honestly, I didn't believe you when you were like, we have to overexpose this image, because I've worked with the Pocket 3 so much, and I'm nope. Once you clip, you clip. There's nothing up there. And the Insta360 Luna Ultra, on what CineD reports, falls apart. Literally one stop underexposed. And I think you had mentioned this too, that you noticed it just without scientifically testing it, just going out and using the camera. Because they said one stop under, usable, noisy, kind of chroma noise, not beautiful. 2 stops under, unusable.
No good. Yep.
Very ugly image. 4 stops over, still looked great.
Yeah, it's wild.
Blew my mind.
Yeah, it's you could, and you come from Da Vinci. I'm going to tell you, it's so good that like on one recently, I brought down all of the highlights, and then I had to add another adjustment layer because I couldn't pull the slider any further.
Yeah.
To then bring it down even a little more, and it still retained it. I'm like, it's crazy good in the highlights.
Isn't that insane? I can share this on my screen. I can't share it on yours, but we got to get into this in a minute as well.
Yeah.
But here is like, this is what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And, I shared this with you, but this was my scientific test of exposures.
Yeah.
So, and the way you do this is I matched up my middle gray over here on my color chart, and I brought that to make sure that my middle gray was equivalent on every single exposure. And what I noticed is that, as you go under exposure, that log curve, even though this middle gray is exactly the same on every single block, there's a lot less contrast here. There's a lot more contrast here, but this was 3 stops. This was 3 stops over. It's gone.
It's gone.
How can you use that?
Yeah.
And compared that to what CineD just did with theirs, oh my gosh, you have so much more room on the top end that I'm just not used to working with. That feels more like a proper log or raw camera. It feels like Blackmagic cameras or these new Sony cameras. It's cool.
It's so good. My one question is, does the 4 Pro, the single lens one, do we know what sensor's in that? Because if it has that sensor, it's not.
It doesn't. I do not believe, because they haven't touted it the same way. I think that is, it's probably, I don't know. Nobody's talked about, what's weird is that in my ecosystem, at least in my bias of like my helmet world, I haven't heard anything about it. It's been the Luna Ultra and it's been the Pocket 4P, these dual lens systems. Nothing really about the 4 at all. And I guess it's on Amazon, or it was for a little while. So there's an ability to buy it. But
if I find
I was never super excited of that camera, because it just feels like a baby iteration forward from what we already have in the Pocket 3.
Yeah, but if it has that 17 stops of range, I might actually buy that. I might actually do what I said I wouldn't do and buy it without worrying about the potential of warranty service, because I like DJI and I trust the product will probably work. If it has that 17 stops, I might add that to my arsenal. Like I'm a big fan, as you know. We're fortunate because we're in this business. A lot of people are like, which one should I get? And I understand that. You're not crazy like Colden and I. But for me, I could throw that in. They're so small, add it to my little bag and be like, okay, well, I've got this when I want that. And then I'll break out the other when I want those features. Like, instead of lenses, it's just cameras. You know what I mean? Like, instead of buying another lens or buying it to add to the arsenal, I would buy just that camera for that as a tool set. I might.
You're crazier than most, though. I might be one tier under you, but you'll buy multiple copies of the same camera. I'm not at that level yet.
But see, it worked. I am crazy, but like it worked for me, particularly like this talk video I made. Mm-hmm. Now I had a 3-camera shoot with these little baby cameras, and it worked really well. And I didn't have to think about it because they're so user friendly. Like just boom, 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 get up on stage and start my presentation.
Now, when you did 3-camera setup, because I know you have the Luna Ultra, I know you have the Pocket 3. Do you have 2 Pocket 3s?
2 Pocket 3s.
Okay, so you had dual Pocket 3s, and then I'm assuming you kind of used the Luna Ultra as your A camera.
I did. Yeah, it looked.
That makes sense.
It looked better than the Pocket 3s. It handled that lighting situation a little better, and maybe I could have color graded a bit. The Luna looked the best of them in that setting. Yeah, but the Pocket 3s they're just such a good camera. Like I said, like you've seen it, and like I said, I went a little crazy buying 2 of those only because it was at the beginning of all of this. This was my first step when the world was getting nuts with DJI, right, and everything was going to be canceled. I was like, for safety. Yeah. I was like, man, I like this camera so much that if I do break that gimbal, I kind of would like to have one in my holster. Yeah. You know, and that was crazy, but they weren't that expensive.
They've gone. They've held their value, or they've gone up because of all the craze, because of people like you buying multiple copies of them.
Yeah, but I think I got them for like $4 something. It wasn't like a huge cost. It was just a little bit more than like an action cam. Like, yeah, why not? It's great.
Well, if it's that, it makes sense. Sad news here for you, though. It looks like at least the AI overlords have said the Pocket 4, just the 14 stops of dynamic range. Which is going to be similar, probably slightly tweaked, better sensor than the Pocket 3, because I think the Pocket 3 probably claims similar dynamic range there. If you want the 17 stops, that's the 4P. So not quite the same here. And I know Luna claimed 14 stops, but they didn't even get anywhere close.
Oh, where'd they end up?
So I believe their main lens, let me see, I'll pull up the study so you can see it too, even if we're just, talking about it. The main lens came in, I think, at 12, which is still not bad. Like, how silly that we're all complaining about 12 stops in a pocket camera. It's nuts to me. So this is, let me see, this is CineD's.
Because the old Blackmagics were not anywhere near that anyway.
Oh, I have the original Blackmagic Pocket cinema camera over here, and that's like 16 millimeter. Like, that was wild at 11 stops of dynamic range. And you look at it now, and you're like, not really usable. But this was CineD's test of the Luna Ultra. So some interesting. I'll just run through it here. This I thought was interesting. Weird win and loss at the same time. So the wide sensor on the Luna Ultra has a faster readout. The Pocket 4P is 11 milliseconds, 11 point something. The Luna Ultra is a faster sensor at 10 milliseconds. It's still not a hyper fast sensor, but it's faster than the Pocket 4P. When you go on to your tele, it's bad.
Interesting.
It's really slow. So it's interesting in like just to know, and this was a video that I put out today, I think, is just doing these kind of exercises knows. So don't use your tele lens and do a bunch of whip panning. I noticed that actually, and I have to go back and check this. I noticed Jared Polin did a video shooting in Canada with the 4P, and I noticed some rolling shutter artifacts. It was interesting, but I think that probably was on one of these tele lenses. So I want to go back to CineD. I'll try and pull that up in a minute and see if they actually tested the rolling shutter on the tele lens on the 4P as well, because I saw 11 milliseconds on their main lens. So it was, the main lens is slower than the Luna, but when you move to the tele lens here, it's rough. This was the Xyla chart for the main lens at iLog, ISO 400. So this was the test that they got. So they got, let's zoom that in a little bit, 13 stops here. Oh, it won't let me. 13 stops here. Usable at the 0.5 mark was 13. It's not bad. They claimed 14. the only place where it like drops off of a cliff was if we jump down here to here's the tele lens. Nope, that's the wide lens. The tele lens is right here. Yeah, reading it. So tele lens, here's the tele. 11 stops total, drops down to 9.7 usable stops if you use the 0.5 signal to noise ratio.
Okay.
So that one, and remember we were even talking before about how you get that weird switch where everything feels like it switches or gets darker when you zoom in. So that's interesting that the two are so different.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
that's where it kind of broke down.
That's interesting, but also it's like it's not ever affected my filming style because I don't ever use zoom in a shot. Right. Like I find my shot, set it up, get the composition, and I work with it. And if it's slightly different, I adjust accordingly. I would imagine that's weird if people are zooming in and out. That is not a feature. I just, I don't want to sound snobbish. That's just not my style.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I don't like
this looks though, Todd.
The look of that. Yeah.
In comparison sake, this is 4 stops over with the Pocket 3. So that compared to wherever I lost it here, so good being able to pull that down.
It's crazy how good.
This is where it's bad. See, this is where it starts to get really funky in the. And you anecdotally tested this before CineD ever did, which is just going out and shooting it
in a use case.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy. And I showed it on my channel too, how blown out the original image was. Mm-hmm. I showed it and I was like, I couldn't believe that I was able to recover all of that. It was wild to me.
Yeah.
How much data is in there still. It's like what you just said. It's like, what kind of crazy voodoo magic's inside that sensor? Like, how is it retaining that information? It's almost like the Lofic thing somehow.
The only thing I can guess, and I have no idea, this is not confirmed, it's just so weird to me to see the shadow side preform so badly on the Luna and the highlight side preforms so well. It almost feels like they used a similar sensor to what was in the Pocket 3, but they tuned that thing so when you are shooting over, it's almost like shooting 2 stops over or 3 stops overexposed is 0.
Yeah.
If you look at this, because this is 4 stops fixed. If you look at mine again and you look at 1 stop fixed, now my scene is more contrasted, but that looks fine. The 1 stop over looks fine. So it's almost like they took that sensor and they like moved everything up on it, and then you just throw away all of the detail in the shadows. I don't know. It's so strange to me that the highlight, like it's cool, but the highlights look so good. What they didn't do on this test is just kind of get to that point where it clips. Because literally 4 stops over and it still looks great. So where does it get to that point where you are completely gone?
I found that
over there.
I found that when I was shooting with it, unfortunately. We talked about it. I was out on a client, was doing it for the radio station, and it was one of those days where it was like the clouds were coming in and then the sun just burst when I was doing like these man on the street interviews. And I was like, and I couldn't tell because I didn't have the update yet. I was like, well, I could probably pull that down. No, man. There were parts of these people's faces that were just white blotches. I was like, that's never going to the customer ever. I'll just go to the ones that were in the shadow. They get under the clouds, because I didn't have my ND filter on, and I had it set to 1/60 shutter speed and shooting at 30 frames. And I know everybody just cringed, but YouTube likes 30 frames a second. That's all there is to it. I know you film guys love the 24p. I've been shooting everything in 30p now. But, when you use the 180 degree rule, we do get motion blur. And so calm down.
Yeah.
Like
I'll make
YouTube.
them cringe. I'll make you guys cringe even more than if I'm shooting stuff for Instagram. I really like 60p, and I'll export it at 60p, tradition, like not slowed down, like 60 frames a second on my timeline. Export that out to a 60 frames per second H.264 file, and then upload it to Instagram, and it just has almost a surreal smoothness to it.
Yeah.
Even when Instagram brings it back down and compresses it. So that's even, further away from the 2398. But I like that look on Instagram. I'm not making my feature film on Instagram, but for that purpose, I've loved that stuff.
Yeah. And most of the stuff that I'm doing for the radio station is intended to go on either YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So I'm trying to just cater to that 30 frame sweet spot because it gets less messed up in the compressions.
Yeah. So, I think if you hit the sweet spot for sure, we've talked about it on your show and my show and everybody else. Like, just know what your deliverables are.
Correct.
It was interesting.
Right.
So before Jake's camera completely let us all down, we were talking about a comment that I had gotten on my FX5 video, who was like, hey, you really need to point out that once you go to YouTube, nobody's going to be able to tell the difference between the FX3 and the FX5. This is not that much better of a camera. And I totally agree with them on that point, if that's your deliverable. But that's my only thing is like, then don't buy the FX5. If you're making videos for YouTube, your phone works really well. Like an iPhone 7
does.
You're using the DJI. You're still using the DJI 3, right? Pocket 3 right now, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, right now.
And the iPhone 17 Pro looks great. If you're going out to YouTube, unless you're doing like the next Curry Barker level short film on YouTube, pretty sure you're going to get away with. You don't need a $6,000 camera for YouTube. The FX5 was cool because it bridges the gap between the $25,000 Burano. If you're shooting commercials or feature films on a Burano and you need a crash cam, you might be able to tell when you hand that footage off to the 3 colorists on your team, because you have a team, they might be able to tell what that workflow is. And even if they can't pinpoint exactly what's different about the FX3 versus the FX5, it's going to cut together better with the Burano because it's all in the same family. So that's where I was like, totally, if you're going to YouTube, like that's what we've been preaching. Know your deliverables. If you're going to TikTok, don't buy the FX5. What does it matter?
There was one guy on I don't know if you saw, like one guy commented on our conversation and it was, I thought it was hilarious. He was like, here's 50 reasons to not buy the FX5. And he went and
got the same thing. He came to mine. He came to mine and he left. It's honestly great.
It is. It's awesome.
Research a lot of it, except some of his stuff was wrong that I had to point out.
Well, was it firmware based?
Somebody
was it? Was it because of firmware updates or?
The funny thing is, he commented that. So thank you for coming to both Todd and my channel.
Appreciate you, brother.
Point us.
I thought it was hilarious. I was like, holy moly!
I also appreciate though because I've gotten similar comments when I complain about whatever's not right with a camera. Like we're never going to get a perfect camera. It reminds me, my take is very similar to camera conspiracies where it's like, yes, I want everything ever in a camera and I will complain that I don't get everything ever offered in a camera. I also only want to spend $1,000, but we all know that's not realistic. I do think that knowing weaknesses helps you make decisions on if it solves your specific problem or not, because like you opened today's chat with, is the marketing hype can sell you the same 10 things. And so the guy that came over to both of our channels was like, here's 50 things that they don't tell you that's wrong with the camera.
Yeah.
Great. Because if any of those things are like, ooh, that's a deal breaker for me, would I rather know that now or when the B&H pre-order shows up at my door and I'm going, oh my God, you mean I have to reboot? A lot of it's rebooting, which is like you have to reboot the camera, which I didn't actually realize until I was watching CVP's kind of breakdown on what reboots versus what doesn't. And you reboot the camera. The Canon R5C. I think that was the first camera that they kind of did this hybrid thing where you have an R5, which is a photo camera, but then you can switch it into the Cine mode and you get all the Cine features. But when you switch it into the Cine mode, it reboots the camera because it's new operating software. So I don't know. I like some of that's fine. I get it. One of the things that I'm literally like trying to find it and pull it up because we can go through it. It's fun.
While you're doing that, I wanted to make one other side point, which is a conversation we had about APS-C versus full frame, and how excited I am now that the FX5 came out, because I'm going to look at the FX30. And I was actually shocked when you said that the other day, because I didn't realize the FX3 cost that much more than the FX30. Like the FX30 is brand new from B&H, is $2,100. And so that's where my mind was when I said, ooh, that FX5 is a punchy price. I did not realize the FX30 is like $4,700. And I'm like,
no.
Yeah, it's 46 something.
The FX3? Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You're looking at the lens package then, because it's 38.
Okay, that may be.
I'll pull it up just to
that may be.
So you don't have sticker shock on that. It's
I was
still
having
expensive, but
it's expensive because the FX30 is still 10-bit 422. Like it does 120 frame.
4,298. Just so for just the body.
So $4,300 for,
which is
crazy
because they just had that brought down. So that
is a huge jump.
That's crazy.
There's a huge jump between those two cameras. Like you're like, and for someone like me, like the upside is minimal to go full frame. I'm like, I'm in $2,000. Like, that's probably happening this year. Like I love my FS5s, but
So the only thing I would suggest to you, maybe, look at the FX2.
I heard that was kind of a hated on camera.
Yeah, it's a hated on camera for sure. But I actually like the camera more now than when they launched it. So that's $2,698. And what did we say the FX30 was? $2,698 for the FX2. So it's $2,098 for the FX.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a $600 difference for full frame. My only issue.
The 2 is a full frame? I didn't know that.
The FX2 is a full frame. So that's your cheapest entry in. So if you're not going to get the FX3, you just don't get all of the slow-mo rates and kind of all of the bells and whistles of the FX3, but it's a pretty good camera for if you want to get into an FX line for $2,600. If you're doing Sony, if you're doing all of that. Now, some problems for you is that you said you're already invested in APS-C lenses. That's a bummer. So you're going to have to look at full frame lenses instead. I haven't tested this FX2, so I can't fully speak to it, but I noticed a difference, a shift, just a quality shift, shooting on 2 FX3s and 1 FX30 when I would do a bunch of interviews on that. It ended up fine if I used the FX30 as a wide shot. But if I tried to set it up where I needed to match an FX3 and an FX30, so like 2 over the shoulders, they were wildly different. Not just APS-C versus not. It was just, I'd rather leave this in the bag and have another FX3. That was just my only personal thought on it. And I don't know if the FX2 would be more comparable in image quality and feel to the FX3 or to the FX30. It's just something I noticed. I liked the way the FX3 full frame sensor resolved more than the FX30, which was just kind of, it's one of those intangibles that I'm sure somebody can pixel peep it and tell you exactly where. They're both 4K, but the FX30, I didn't like the image quite as much as my 2 FX3s. So it's just, food for thought, but something to consider.
Okay.
So some of these lists, no built-in NDs.
Back to that.
Back to the FX5, no built-in NDs. Yeah, I get it. The funnier thing that I thought, which is fair, I guess, but again, know your use case. the camera doesn't take photos. There's no still mode.
Yeah.
On a cinema camera. There's no stills mode on the Burano either, but I guess if that's a deal breaker for you, then you need the Alpha line. Some of these complaints were coming from an Alpha camera, which I understand, but if you're coming from a Burano, then it's so different. 4K.
Yeah, but FX6 does not do stills either, does it?
On the multitude of times I've shot with the FX6, never once have I been like, hey, everybody, pose for a picture. Let me take my FX6 out. I don't
well, I know, but like,
even looked for it.
Like, I don't look for stills out of a cinema camera either. Like, it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
So
the Red doesn't take, the Red Komodo doesn't take have a dedicated stills mode either. So
yeah,
that's where I'm like, sure.
Also,
okay. And then
also,
OpenGate 120.
I will say this, I have found it to be wildly impressive to use Adobe's still frame capture in the editor. It grabs really high quality photos. So if you're looking for stills out of your video, just use Adobe's Premiere's, grab a still. As long as they're not in motion, so you got any motion blur. You got a pretty wildly good photo. This one,
or
here,
an A7
hold on.
R6.
Look, I love this picture. It's printed at 11 by 14.
Yeah.
This is just a still grab from a video frame out of Premiere. Like, it's wildly good.
Yeah. And if you're shooting on 4K, you have enough resolution for an 11-inch photo.
Yeah.
And it's not going to look bad if you can pull it.
Looks,
but
anyway,
I don't know why
you
need a stills mode in a cinema camera. It's kind of an odd. I think they're looking for an alpha camera, and this just isn't an alpha camera. So a lot of firmware stuff, 4K 240. That was my whole video. We're in this weird cycle of cameras where they release an unfinished camera, and then they tell you, oh, we're going to fix this with firmware in a year. The 4K 240 is not supposed to come out till next year. OpenGate 120, also firmware. There's no global shutter. We kind of knew that. I was bummed by that. That's like one thing that Sony has the technology, so that's true. There's no global shutter. We kind of covered that. EVF is sold separately. Of course, it's Sony, bro. Everything's sold separately on Sony.
Yeah, but it's a little punchy. He's not wrong. When you buy that EVF and that handle, that's another $1,300.
Yeah, and that was a comment that I got on mine, which is fair as well. Which is, should we talk about Sony kind of baiting people with a baseline and then upcharging them $700 for the EVF and $800 for the XLR handle and blah, blah, blah. And now you're actually not at a $5,000 camera. You're at a $6,500 camera.
Yeah.
Only thing that I guess I'm like too much in Team Sony camp. Would you rather have a $5,000 base that you add an EVF to if you know you like shooting with an EVF, or you don't, or the flip side is they just sell you a $6,500 camera and the EVF is included in your package. But then if you never want to use an EVF, if I'm somebody who I always shoot with an external monitor, or maybe I'm always shooting inside interviews, I have no need for an EVF, I'd rather not buy it and then only buy it if I need it. I like that model. Red does the same thing. You buy a Red camera, you get a Red block. Oh, you want the monitor? It's extra. You want the Red mags? Those are extra. You want the Red batteries? Oh, you want to be able to turn your camera on? Okay, fine. That's extra. Like, this is not new in the cinema world. So that's where I would personally rather buy it if I need it, but don't include it in the base price.
Yeah.
Same thing DJI does. What do they have? They have the drone, and then they have the Fly More pack if you want the nicer remote and the 3 batteries. But I don't have to buy that if I already have the batteries, right? So I don't find that as a downside. I actually find that as a positive. They're expensive, but I think somebody on my stream too said, well, the Zacuto, if you buy a Zacuto EVF, that's HDMI, it's not even integrated in, that's like $1,000.
Yeah.
So it's pretty decently priced. The thing that I believe we get wrong here in this comment is that you can't use the XLR handle and the EVF at the same time. I think that you can, but because they're technically different ports, but it's true if you slide the XLR handle into the hot shoe, it covers the port that the EVF would fit into as well.
Right.
So it's kind of hard. What I noticed was Mid49 is they're saying they're making like an extension cable of an EVF so you could reroute your EVF to a different part of the camera, which if you could do that, then my one gripe, which is I have to choose between 32-bit float or an EVF. What if I want an FX6, a shoulder rig, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a shoulder rig, and this is where I'm like, this is not a real complaint. If you have a shoulder rig, the camera's here, and the EVF is sticking off the back of your camera, and that's
right.
not where it goes. So you would have to get an extension cable to bring the EVF into your eye line.
Yeah.
So as long as that's true, cool. Then you can have the XLR handle, and for $1,500, you have 32-bit float. You have a really good EVF. It's all integrated in a really clean way with your cinema camera. I don't know. I don't think that's bad.
You make a very valid point too on the ability to buy. Because I'm with you, I'm very team Sony. Other than my Pocket Cam world, I'm very team Sony, and that's why I'm excited about the FX30 being only $2,000, because I've got lenses, I've got everything else I need, and I would probably use it as an A cam for me as the interviews, but I'd be running a B cam, and I'll just not work. I'll have the XLR go to that. That's fine. I don't need both of them to capture XLR audio. I only need one, and I'll just run it to the B cam and still get the image from the A cam. So yeah, it is nice to be able to, and then later when I sell that camera, you know what, I'll buy the XLR handle if I want to. So that is you make a very valid point, because why buy parts that are just sitting in a box? Yeah.
Here's the ZR. I have a smart shoe. I have no way of putting an EVF on it. They haven't made an EVF. And if the EVF's, again, just to prove the point, if the EVF is sitting here and I put this on a shoulder rig, what good is the $800 EVF now if I'm shooting this on a shoulder rig? It's not in the right spot. You need an extension cable to come up to your eye anyway. So if they can make an extension cable that allows you to use both, even better. And I would absolutely, the amount of times that I've been out shooting with this ZR, if they gave me a $400 or $500 option for an EVF, I would consider buying it, because that would be a nice add-on and a quality of life. And I like having a solid EVF. So I don't see that as a negative.
And you're welcome, ladies, because that was an opportunity for Colden to show up his guns. I hope you enjoyed and screenshotted that shot. So there's Colden.
Perfect. Love it. I'm trying to think of anything else on my list, on this list of things that we could complain about. The screen only grew to 3.5 inches. Some people said 5 inches was one of his comments, which is, you weren't going to get it, but okay, no. You wanted 5 and you got 3.5. Sorry, buddy. The screen is in 16:9, so if you're shooting an open gate, you're going to lose area. But that's why the Big 6 Cine menu is so nice, is because you fill basically the other parts of the screen if you need that. If you put in a 3x4 or a 3x2 screen, you're going to lose part of that screen. So you can't have multiple aspect ratios and a shifting screen. You're always going to have black bars on something.
Yeah.
He doesn't
that happens on my.
He says the UI is less user friendly than the alpha cameras. I think the alpha cameras have a terrible menu system, and the Burano's menu system makes way more sense if you're used to shooting on an ARRI or on a Red. Then the Burano system makes more sense to me. So that's just an opinion. You don't have the alpha FN quick menu. It's not an alpha camera. So that's where I'm like, some of these things are. Okay, you don't get lens breathing compensation in RAW because it's RAW.
Yeah.
It's you don't get noise reduction in RAW. You don't get anything that's calculated in a chip outside of the sensor would then not be RAW. It'd be processed RAW. So the fact that XOCN is a clean RAW image that you then go process later, again, I don't see that as a negative. Clear image zoom doesn't work in RAW. Again, RAW. It's RAW. If you want to zoom, then take it into your editor and zoom, or put it into all intra,
or just put a different lens on. We're talking not a fixed lens camera here.
No. Well, you can do that for sure. But do you have an alpha camera that has clear image zoom? Because I will say,
yeah, but it only
killer feature.
It's weird though. Like it doesn't always seem to come on. Like I have it set, and sometimes it's like, oh, it's doing it, and then other times I'm like, I haven't changed the lens or anything. It's the same lens that works with it, the little Sony lens. And it's like, it's just not a feature. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I can't access it. It's automatic. You know, once you turn it on, it's like you have that, you've used it, right? And so it's got that, you could see your normal lens, and then it goes into this next section of on the zoom bar. And sometimes it just doesn't appear. Like, it's just like, why I can't zoom, but it is cool. It is cool. It's sort of like the lossless on these pocket cams.
Yeah. What I use it for is if I'm shooting anamorphic, I've used this a bunch because I have a couple of anamorphic lenses that are APS-C, but when I put it on my FX3, it's obviously it's anamorphic, but it's APS-C. So there's some vignetting around the sides.
Yeah.
You can use clear image zoom and just punch it in, and it's not a full APS-C crop. It's only like 1.2 or 1.3. So you get more image out of that lens. I freaking love that mode. So I understand why this commenter was concerned about it. So these are two things that Cam Mackey mentioned too. If you're an anamorphic shooter, and we covered it on our big release day FX5 thing, anamorphic D-squeeze disables autofocus, which is a bummer. I hope they do fix that on the future firmware, because they should. If you go back 2 years, so what? Because every anamorphic lens was a manual focus lens anyway. Now we just have some good. Blazar's made a couple. I think DZO's got some. I know Sue Ray, you have one that you've been in love with.
It's super cheap and it works so good. I can't even believe it.
So if you are in that, but again, if you're in the, I'm going to buy a super cheap autofocus anamorphic lens, are you on the team working with the Burano? Like, is that the cinema rig? So it doesn't work. Cam Mackey pointed it out. I do hope they fix that. Because if you have a couple of these new Blazar and you're a run and gun person, I do feel that in testing these manual lenses, it's like, man, I miss having an autofocus where you can't even like set your camera up on a tripod and just walk off a frame because you'll be out of focus. So it's nice to have it. That's fair. I think that's good.
I think it's fair too I'm going to defend this commenter a little bit in that the form factor of this camera lends itself to someone thinking in the alpha world. Like, you're looking at that like a run and gun tool, and you have made a valid point that this is really a bridge to a much higher end cinema camera. So I think there's a misunderstanding as to what this camera is once it hit the market. Like, what is this tool?
I think what Sony did so beautifully, and what they proved with this comment and my comment, is that they literally built a camera as close as you can to pleasing almost everybody, from the single person content creator who wants the alpha menus. That tells me like you probably have an A7 or an A7 IV, or like you've been in the alpha world, which is fine. And people that shoot with the Burano have features in this camera. I think for all of these shortcomings that are very clearly listed, here's one more, and I agree with him on this one. Ethernet is little use to most users, 100%, unless you are running multiple cameras, or this is a crash cam and needs to be wired to a controller somewhere else. If you are that user in a studio setting, it's really great to have. So again, it's like, great, you don't need it because you're a solo shooter, you're a content creator, totally get it. It's not going to matter if you get the FX3 or the FX5 when you upload to YouTube. But if you are running a studio that needs to multi-link multiple cameras together or control from a remote source, having an Ethernet trigger on your camera is professional quality, professional level that you don't get on an alpha camera. It's amazing. I love a little touch like that. Didn't cost them that much more to put an Ethernet port on. And it doesn't make this guy happy. It probably doesn't make 80% of the people that pre-ordered that camera happy. But it made 20% of the people stand up out of their chair and go, yeah, we have it.
I wonder.
That's all that matters.
I wonder if this goes back to your other argument, though, too. Like, I don't need it. I don't want to pay for it. So, but you just made it. It's not expensive to add. But maybe like you said, I wish that was an option that I could just add later. I don't really want to pay for a feature like that because I will never, ever, ever use it. So I feel like that's the camp he's living in. And you make a valid point. It's like.
Then you're in the FX3 camp. How perfect is that? You have the FX3.
A perfect camera.
You're mad that RAW turns off all of your digital data processing. Great. The FX3 is here, or you don't have to shoot in RAW. You're mad because it has Ethernet. The FX3 doesn't have Ethernet. Neither does the FX2. Like they've made a great lineup where this steps pretty seamlessly. It doesn't completely kill the FX3 because all these things that he mentioned some of them are simpler on the FX3. It doesn't kill the Burano, obviously, because the first video I put out that was like, this is going to be a baby Burano. Fair point. A couple of people commented on that video and were like, then why buy the Burano? Because if it had everything in it, internal NDs, open gate, global shutter, RAW, seriously, why buy a Burano for $25,000 if you buy this for $6,000? So,
well, and
you got it too. But I'm glad thanks for humoring me, and we could go through this.
Well, you also made another valid point, boy, because you brought this up. Not having those internal NDs is going to hurt. It's pinchy. I love having those internal NDs.
Yeah, that was the biggest one to me. Somebody else commented on my video about this firmware issue with the FX5, and he straight up said the lack of internal NDs made him stop paying attention.
Yeah,
and I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Here's
the hard part for me, though. I think somebody it might have been on your channel. Correct me on this one. Said they priced it just cheap enough that I'm still going to consider it anyway. Like I wish they would have priced it a little more expensive so that I didn't have to think about it. But that I thought was such a brilliant move by Sony, saying, okay, it's only $5,000, because it made the sting to me. It made the sting of not having internal NDs. But it's only $5,000. If you would have said $6,500, no internal NDs, no global shutter, I'm out too. But like the person who is watching our video on your channel, shoot, I'm like still stuck with my credit card in my hand because
it's in your card
you priced it just on the edge of what makes sense, And there was another person. I wish I saved the graphic, but basically you can't fit an internal ND in any direction.
No,
left, right, up or down. You can't fit it to slide it out of the way. And worse than not including it would be including an internal ND that's always on, which means you start at 2 stops of underexposure every time. That would be infuriating to me. So
that would be that wouldn't fit in that camera body. And also we are we have an embarrassment of wealth when it comes to variable NDs these days. There's just so many very good ones on the market that it's awesome to have internal. I love that in those cameras that I have, and it's one of the things like I want my next camera to have that. Like I love that, but with a little forethought, how hard is this? Okay, I have ND now.
I found the image, man.
Okay,
thank you, Facebook. I found it.
You get to share this with me.
So let me get it kind of punched up. This is the image that I saw on Facebook too. So do the math on this sensor. Where are you gonna put it?
Yeah.
And so you either have to make the body significantly bigger. Somebody will complain about that, or you can't include it on this body. Which, when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, fair point."
Well, brings up an interesting question I guess I have too, is like, why does it seem like more and more cinema cameras are looking like the form factor of a digital stills camera? Like, I don't know why we're not just making cine cams, and why that body isn't just like the FX6 or the FS5 that I have. Like, why doesn't it just retain that cinema factor anyway? It's a cinema camera. So why are we making it look like that and then having these limitations?
Well, because
gimbal, does a gimbal work?
Micro cinema. You ever see the micro cinema camera?
I don't know that I have.
Blackmagic made a camera that not only doesn't look, I mean, I think these are quite popular.
I just don't understand.
They made a cinema camera that looks like a GoPro.
Really?
Which is crazy. Yeah, I almost bought one of these because they're so much fun. I wonder if they. Oh, here we go. Okay.
I would rather everybody was making them like
little thing.
Oh yeah,
it's adorable.
I have seen that camera.
4K, micro four thirds. They've got SDI out. Like, it was just a really interesting. And the selling point on these if you were gonna. And I think one of the selling points for these micro cinema cameras is that, like, no pun intended, since this is the micro studio camera, but these smaller cinema cameras is GoPro got a lot of market share early on in the game, because if you were going to crash a car, you weren't going to put your Panavision, your Panaflex 35 on it, but you were going to try and put something on it. Yeah. So this covers that market share of somebody who needs a crash cam, needs, to put a camera rigged up on top of a basketball, backboard, and still get a great image and still get something that's controllable. So Sony FX5 went Ethernet for control. These guys have dual SDIs for camera control and length for camera control. So those are the people, this commenter on YouTube doesn't get it, but those are the people that are going to really need it. Was people that need control on a crash cam. So my thought on to at least you asked the question, my thought process is on it. A Burano is a fairly large, fairly heavy camera. A Venice is a even larger, even heavier camera. If you are the camera team shooting Ford versus Ferrari, and you need to mount these cameras onto race cars and whip them back and forth as they're driving around the track, do you want to mount the 10-pound Burano or this little 2.5-pound mini Burano?
Well, I guess my question is why though they don't follow more of the red formula, where it's now just a little cube. You could have a door, a viewfinder flip out of the side of that if you wanted. Yep. Like why they don't make it a little cube? Why does it have this weird stills style form factor? I guess that's what I don't understand. Like we're so far past that now. We don't need it to be that. It's because those aren't necessarily even very ergonomic for shooting. It's not. That's fair.
The only thing that I could say is that they kept what felt similar to the FX family.
Sure.
And so there was some familiarity, but we covered this camera. So here's, if you want that,
because anybody's going to
Vista.
Yeah.
With the
that's what I'm talking about.
Screen. I mean, this is, so I guess to me, and I got to look up because, the guy that wanted a 5-inch touch screen, I don't even think this Vista has to have one of the largest touch screens to date. And it doesn't have a 5-inch touchscreen. But
and that's because everybody who's buying this camera is rigging it out anyway. We're not. This is going on in a system of some sort, So it's like being beholden to that form factor, which causes the limitation of the NDs and stuff. Like you could get away from that by just making it like a bigger cube or something where NDs could flip down from somewhere. It's such a weird. You just said it though.
Call this guy. He's got some thoughts.
It's a familiarity thing. You make a good point.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
But what's interesting too is even the Burano isn't a cube, but it is closer to the box style.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the
Yeah.
Verano follows the FX6
It does.
FX6 and FX9 body style a little bit more. And it's just always been Sony's thing. I don't think they've ever built a red. Even their XAVC handy cams, like the old cameras, the camcorders before these Super 35 and 35 millimeter digital sensors, they didn't look like they didn't look like red.
But that's not even a very big camera, really. That isn't.
No, this is small.
Yeah.
This is a small camera. And that's where, let's see what we can find on the specs.
Because I bet you could even, that looks very gimbal worthy.
5 pounds.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
5.3. So you're talking about 7 to 8 with a gimbal on it, or with a lens on it. And then, you could fly that on some of the bigger, but that's where the FX5 was such a good fit, I think, for them.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we've gone down a weird. This is a total camera geek tangent.
For sure. Yeah, I just wanted to. I couldn't talk to Jake this week. Well, we tried, but it was like talking to a potato on a landline while you were listening to that dial-up tone going over and over in your head. That's what I got. So I had to do it with somebody.
No, I appreciate it.
Was there anything else on your list, man? I didn't have anything.
No, I didn't have anything on my list because when you messaged me, I was like mid things. I was testing a lens for newer, and then I'm going out on a shoot. I was like, let's talk.
Let's just do it. Let's just hang out for a little
bit. I love talking with you. Like you've become like my internet buddy.
You're my emotional support, Todd. Every once in a while, where I'm like, I just got to talk camera nerdy stuff with somebody who's going to get. I can't just yell in the comment section, so I got to talk to somebody. Todd,
well, I'm glad it's me because this has been I enjoy this every time. This is a blast.
Yeah, I love it.
No,
Man,
I just lost
what we might be doing is we just might be, we might be cranking out like. Do we have a Friday show where we just start to make this a thing? I got to get you live, and then we can make it a recurring thing, or we have to pre-tape it some other time and then launch it on Fridays. But I like this kind of hang out and talk on Friday thing. Yeah,
let's kind of plan for that, and barring work schedules, you know how it goes. But
my rule always is the paying gigs come first before
got to do the paying.
Hanging out and having fun.
No, let's do it. Yeah. And I'll try to catch up with you next week. I'm going to go through I've started to do what you're doing. Like I was like, how does he always have the jump on this news? So I'm using some Google alerts so I can make some plans as to what I want to talk about going forward because, we can only talk Luna so much. I mean, as much as I love my Luna.
But I'm interested. So by next week, you'll have this iPhone lens thing to review and some thoughts on that. So I'm interested. You're doing that. I've got a whole lens review too that I've got to get out because I'm like, they've been sitting here. They're very cool lenses. So I can kind of tease that, but I need to get that video out. It's one of those that's just kind of sitting on a timeline right now. So next week we can talk more about that.
Sounds good. All right. I guess that's the end of the Hangout chat time.
Thanks guys. Anybody that was here hanging out. Thank you, Todd, to, hang out and chat with me, and we can. Anybody who wants to leave a 5-book long, like a Lord of the Rings length comment on either of our videos, we're happy to read through the entire thing on a live stream at some point. I'm happy to do that.
I love the commitment, so let's go.
Yeah, it's fully committed. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yep, guys. Until the next one.